Hi. We've been doing a lot of problems with really simple problems with percents, and I really wanted to jump into the idea of word problems involving percents, how to approach them, and just how to think about them, because they really are a specific subject on their own, and there's a number of different ways you can do a problem, so we're going to talk about that. By the way, the first two problems of this example are dedicated to my friend Tammy, who's one of the best bakers and pastry type people that I've ever met. So this video is for you. Here we go. Example number 1. Doyle is a baker from Dublin. On Monday, he baked 300 cupcakes. If he sold 58% of his cupcakes before lunch, how many cupcakes did he actually sell? So it's lunchtime, he's selling cupcakes because that's what he's selling, and at lunch he closes because he's going to eat lunch. And he's like, all right, what percent have I sold? Oh, I sold 58. And he's like, man, how many did I actually sell? That's the question. How many did he actually sell? Like, how many cupcakes, not what percent of cupcakes, but how many actual cupcakes did he sell? So here we go. 58%. A couple different ways of doing this. Let's go with, I'm going to call this definitely a breakdown. And we are definitely going to break this down. Normally I would say, okay, let's break it down to 10 and 1. 58. I know 58 is equal to 50 plus 8, right? I know that's the case. Well, if that's 58, then I just need to find 50. Let's find 50% first. We have 300 cupcakes, and this is how many he made, so that's 100. Well, if I want 50%, right? I basically cut 100 in half. Well, half of 300 is 150. So that's 50%. So we know that he sold about 50% of 150 cupcakes. A few more also. Let's figure that out. This one we do have to find out what 1% is. So I'm going to go back to 100. And I'm just going to move the decimal once, because 10, and then twice for 3 for the 1%. So 3 cupcakes is 1%. Okay, well, I don't want 1, I want 8. So I'm going to times that by 8. 3 times 8 is 24 cupcakes. So if I take 50 and 8%, I'm going to take 150 plus 24, 174. 174 what? Gotta have a complete sentence. Doyle, because that's the guy's name. Remember, we always make these personal. We make them as detailed as possible. Doyle sold 174 cupcakes before lunch on Monday. So that's definitely one way of doing it. That would be one possible way of doing it. Let's go for the table. And I know usually I put the number symbol right here, but it's not numbers, it's cupcakes. We want to be detailed with our table. Here's the part, here's the whole, 100%. They said he sold 58%. I know he's made 300 cupcakes, that's the whole number. So we're looking for this. Let's call it X. Okay, set it up. X over 58 is equal to 300 over 100. I'm going to not cross multiply. I'm going to take a minute and say, dude, that equals 3. 300 divided by 100 is 3. I'm going to do that. X over 58, opposite or the inverse of dividing is multiplying. Sometimes both sides by 58, X equals 174. Done. Again, I would write my answer as a complete sentence, just like I did over there. So that was pretty quick too. How you do it's up to you, but do what makes sense. Like if it's seriously asking like, what's 50% of something, break it in half. Don't waste your time with a table. Do what's fastest for you. Okay, that's example number 1. Example number 2, which is also dedicated to Tammy. Murphy is a baker in Dublin. He's in a different side of Dublin because him and Doyle, they're brothers. So like they work in the same place. Well, they work for the same company, but on different sides because Irish brothers, they are a little violent. So this guy's like in North Ireland, Dublin, and that guy's in South Dublin. Like they get together for things. Never mind. So on Tuesday, he baked 450 cupcakes. If he sold 60% of his cupcakes before lunch, how many cupcakes does he have left to sell for after lunch? This is a little different. This is saying, listen, you sold 60% of them before lunch. That's what it says. Got rid of 60%. How many actual cupcakes do you have left for after lunch? When you open again after you eat? Okay. So one way to figure this out is, let's figure out how many actually sold. I know 450 is 100% because that's how many he made on Tuesday. Right? Well, that means 10% is 45. Right? Because I divide both of them by 10. I just moved the decimal. I want 60%, which is nice because I don't have to worry about a single, so this is going to be pretty fast. I want 60. So I'm going to times this by 6. Well, 45 times 60. Kind of hard to remember that in my head. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 4 is 240. So 270, right? If I add straight down. So 270 is 60%. Am I done? It asked how many cupcakes does he have left to sell for after lunch. 270 cupcakes is 60. That's what he sold before lunch. That's before lunch. That's not what they're asking for. They're asking for how many does he have left to sell for when they come back from work. So let's see. I started with 450 and I sold, so I got rid of 270. 0, the borrow, 15 minus 7 is 8. 3 minus 2 is 1. So he has 180 technically left. So Murphy, also the name of Robocop, has 180 cupcakes left for after lunch. Left to sell. Let's put 2. After lunch. Okay. Murphy's got 180 cupcakes left to sell for after lunch. Okay, cool. There's got to be another way. And there definitely is. He sold 60%. Let's think about it. I have 100% total. I got rid of 60. It's asking for what's left over. 100 minus 60, that should be 40%. So really, I'm trying to figure out what's 40% of 450. That's what's left. Okay, cool. Do it that way. We know 10% is 45 from the other way. Instead of 60, I'm looking for 40. So I'm going to times that by 4. 45 times 4, let's see. 45 times 2 is 90. 90 times 2 is 180. Check my math on that. Never mind, I got it right here. I know it's 180. I'm correct. So now we make our sentence from that. So that's how you would approach this problem. Two different ways of thinking about it. One is like, okay, how many did I actually sell? Take that away from 450. That's what's left over. Or just saying, I got rid of 60%. That means all I have left is 40. So, sorry, making DVDs. So that means 180 is 40. Cool. That is example number 2. Those are for Tammy, the best pastry baker in the world. Last example, number 3. This is a different problem. Example number 3, and this is a very long problem, so pause the video and write it down. Kayla has a 460 page book to read for. Sorry, that's not a period. That's just a bad copy. To read for a book report. She plans on reading at least 15% of the book every day. So every day she's going to read at least 15%. Because you know, if you're at that part where you're like, man, there's only a half a page left, or there's only a paragraph left of that chapter on the other page, then you're going to read a little extra, right? Or if it's a really good part, you're going to keep reading. If you're really bored out of your mind, she's going to read 15% and not read anymore because this is the most boringest book in the world. Like Twilight that has to do with vampires and stuff. Because God, that book is horrible. Moving on. If she starts reading on Monday, so Monday she starts, the question's asking, at most, how many pages would she have left to read after Wednesday? And I put at most because if you're reading a little more than 15% every night, you're going to have probably fewer than whatever we're going to end up with. So that's why it's at most. Like, if you're reading the bare minimum, then yeah, you're going to have that number. But you might be reading more every night. We're not reading less because we are not slackers here at Sequoia. At least I hope we're not. Okay, moving on. Let's do it. 15% every night. And we're asking, how many would she have left to read after Wednesday? So one way to do it is, let's find out what 15% is. There are 460 pages. And let's say that's 100%. What is 10%? Well, 10% move the decimal is 46 pages. And normally I'd say, let's find 1%. What's 5%? I divide 10 by 2. What's 46 divided by 2? 23. Just like Dr. Pepper that has 23 flavors. I'm going to add these. Just add them. That's 15%. All right. 6 plus 3 is 9. 69 is 15% of the book. So every day, she's reading at least 69 pages. Cool. How many days are there? Oh, that's right. We start on Monday, and I'm asking after Wednesday. So we got Monday, Tuesday, and after Wednesday, so we're going to include Wednesday. 3. So I want 3 days. So we're going to take 69 times 3, 27, 180, 7, 207. Cool. So she's read 207 pages at least. What's it asking? How many would she have left to read? Oh, so we got to do a little more. As far as having left to read, well, it starts at 460. I've already read 207. 10 minus 7 is 3, 5, 2. Kayla would have 253 pages, would have at most, if she kept to her plan. Kayla would have at most 250 pages left to read. So Kayla would have at most 253 pages left to read. That's a lot of steps in a word problem. These word problems can get pretty serious. Let's go about it a different way. She's reading 15 pages every night. 15% every night. She's going to read for 3 nights. So I'm going to add these together. 45%. So she's going to read at least 45% of the book by after Wednesday. That's how much she's planning to have done read. So if she's read that much, how much does she have left? Well, we start with 100% as always. And we're going to minus 45. So really, she has 55% left to read at most. So if we just figure out what 55% is, we're done. 460 is 100%. 50%, I'm going to do that trick again, is half. That's half of this is 230. Right? And then 5%, I'm just going to divide that by 10, aren't I? 50 divided by 10 is 5. So that's 23. Cool. Add these together. 3, 5, 2. Hey, look. 253 is 55% again. Sick. Here's how I did it another way. Two very different problems, mixing a lot of stuff together. These problems can be very, very hard. Take your time, read through them slowly, and really, really try and visualize. Draw a picture, do something to help you see what's going on. So, those are 3 examples. That's it for word problems on percents. Have a great night.